If there's one champion or subject that I focus on way too much in my videos, then it's gotta be Irelia. I have more videos that either talk about Irelia or have gameplay with her in the background than any other individual champion in all of League. I currently have 1.1 million champion mastery points on her, which is the 17th highest in North America, and that puts me in the top 10 highest masteries in NA, EU, or Korea for players that are at least diamond rated or higher. Point being, I like this champion a lot and have a lot of fun with her, but I've never entirely understood why before, if I'm being entirely honest. When people come up to me and ask, how do you find a character to main, I can't ever give a straight answer. I just started playing Irelia one day and had fun with her, so I never stopped. I never once in my life thought that I want to be an Irelia main or that I want to one-trick this champion or anything like that, believe it or not. I just haven't gotten bored with her so far, so I've had no urge to stop playing her. But recently, I've been trying to think about League of Legends differently as I work on adjusting my attitude and how I approach the game so I can get back to climbing, applying all of the advice and information that was given to me by Wicked and LS. And thinking about Irelia differently, I've noticed a few things about her that are pretty specific to Irelia that make her different from every other champion out there. So today, I thought I'd share them with you, and who knows, maybe it will help you find a champion that you have just as much fun with as well. So first and foremost, one thing about Irelia that I never realized how much I like is the flexibility that she has in the role that she can fill for a team. For instance, if I'm playing a game where my team is pretty decent or maybe really good, I can play this bruiser hybrid off-tank role that she was designed for. I can tank a lot of damage, be the front line, stun enemies to set up my team for kills, and if I get focused a lot, then it's all good because through my tankiness and healing, while it's not at the level of a pure tank, it's decent enough that with Aranduins and Spirit Visage, I can survive. This sort of passive set up your team kind of playstyle is what I think Riot originally intended Irelia to be when they were designing her, this off-tank bruiser who can support her team well, but she can actually do a lot more than that. For instance, what if my team just sucks and plays really poorly? For other tanky characters in League, this can really screw you over. If you're playing Maokai or another pure tank, then your goal is to become this invincible monster that has a huge force in team fights where he's just unkillable and sets up for his team to do all this crazy damage by CCing people, catching people out, and doing all this annoying stuff where you can't really fight back against him. But if he's setting up for his team to do stuff and maybe his team is really bad, maybe he has an AD carry that's fed a lot of kills or is just a bad player overall, then that makes it really difficult for him to have much of an impact. He can tank all this damage, but if he's just setting up for a 1-in-7 AD carry to do essentially nothing, then that makes him super ineffective, and that's a big weakness that most pure tanks have. They're incredibly difficult to carry with when you're behind. But Irelia is entirely different. If your team is bad, you can become the carry. Through building Triforce and a few tanky damage items, notably Sterix Gauge and GA, you deal a pretty solid amount of damage to make up for poor teammates, and through proper engages and disengages, you'll still be very difficult to kill. Now, going for this build does make you very easy for an enemy team to focus you and just blow you up, but with just enough defensive abilities through your kit and these items, it sets you up to have this huge impact on a game that can let your team have a much easier time catching up. I'm not entirely sure how many other champions there are out there like this in League. This might be something unique to top lane fighters and a few junglers, so not just Irelia, but the number of things that Irelia can do and just how well she can fill all of these roles, full-on carry, TP split pusher, off-tank bruiser. It's a super fun way to play the game, and it keeps every match fresh. The second thing here I think might actually be the biggest reason I've kept playing Irelia all these years, and it's a very specific weird thing that is unique to Irelia. If you want to use this champion to climb out of low rating, then this is the most important sentence of this video. Irelia has guaranteed perfect last hitting under tower, which gives you a guaranteed gold lead that you can snowball games with. Because Irelia's Q refreshes on kills, you can do something very basic but super effective for winning lane, just last hit perfectly under tower. Almost every other champion in game either has a super hard time last hitting under tower at certain points in the match, or they require a lot of thought and almost perfect foresight to get every last hit. I mean, even in pro play, you sometimes see players miss last hits under tower on certain characters. But because Irelia's Q deals damage and resets on kills, if you have a situation like this, this, where you have a tower shot coming towards a minion and you need 2 damage sources to last hit it before it dies, well, you can just auto and Q and you don't lose out on anything. You get the gold and you still have the Q for the next time you need it, even if you need it immediately because the cooldown refreshes, and you even get refunded a little bit of mana. This is so incredibly useful for solo queue climbing and is more effective the lower rated you are. One thing that you can guarantee in any rating below Diamond 3 at least is players will miss some CS. There will be some creeps that people don't get the gold from simply because they aren't good or they aren't good enough at last hitting everything. But this is especially true when you're last hitting under tower. Irelia's Q allows you to get near perfect CS, so you don't lose anything under tower. You can get a reliable gold lead that you can use to snowball against your opponent in lane, and this is a strategy that's all but guaranteed to work, again being more and more effective the lower rated you are. It's so easy. I mean, you don't have to rely on anything other than your own CSing ability. You don't have to rely on your opponent being crazy and letting you solo kill them. You don't have to rely on a jungle gank or on not getting ganked yourself. All you got to do is kill the creeps and you get an automatic lead to snowball with. I really cannot emphasize how easy it is to do this and climb when you have just a few games of experience, so you know what to do with that free gold lead that you get every single game. But lastly, the final thing about Irelia that I absolutely adore is actually how weak she is. Irelia as a champion is not only pretty weak and unpopular to a point where she's almost never picked or banned, so you can get her every game, but she also has really poor scaling, especially for the current meta. Her scaling works out like this, where she has this really weak levels 1 through 6. She's strong in the mid game, maybe levels 7 through 11, but then she falls off the later and later the game goes on. This means that strong early game champions like Pantheon or Renekton can bully her super hard early on, while tanks who scale well can do much more than her in teamfights late game. There's a lot of different ways that you can try and punish an opponent who decides to play Irelia. So why is this something that makes me like Irelia even more? Well, in my experience, there's nothing more fun than 2 players in League of Legends trying to go aggressive and kill each other. If you're playing a matchup where one champion is just crushing the other in laning phase and the other guy knows it, then he's going to play super passive and it's going to be really boring. If your champion is too good in lane, then there's nothing fun to do. You just last hit, your opponent basically zones themselves, and yeah, I mean, you can get a lead off of that, but in a very uninteractive and boring way. It's so much more fun when you have 2 champions top lane that can kill each other, and where the players know that they can kill each other. They're both going to be looking for each other to make mistakes so they can engage and go for kills, and there's a lot more interaction in lane, where if you play a weaker character, you're guaranteeing that other people are going to be playing more aggressive against you, and that basically guarantees more fun lanes. This does, of course, result in me getting stomped sometimes, but sometimes I get to do the stomping as well. Anyway, these aren't the only things I like about Irelia, obviously. There's a lot more to it than just this, but I do hope this gives a little more insight for the constant slew of comments of people asking, how do you play a champion 1,000 times over and not get bored? League of Legends is a super deep game, and I personally believe almost every character has enough going on in their kit to a point where a one trick is always finding new and fun things to do with them. Irelia is just that champion for me and my playstyle. I do want to keep working on expanding my champion pool, especially for the new season, and see if I can get some other champions like Camille, Jax, Renekton, Yorick, and some others to see if I can maybe get as good with them as I am with Irelia, or as close as that is physically possible, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to stop myself from playing her entirely. She's just that fun for me. Anyway, though, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.